Okay, so today I'm going to go ahead and show y'all how to do the dry point techniques with the plexiglass. So pretty much you're going to need, I like to print out my image since we are working with glass. You know, you're able to have that little shortcut, I suppose. You're going to need a sharp pointed object. So originally I had used this Craftsman point. You know, it's kind of like a screwdriver sort of thing. But I did notice you can go ahead and buy these needle point thingies at Dollar Tree. And they're going to work the same. All you're going to need is that point right there to help scratch into the plexiglass. We're also going to need some watercolor paper. In my instance, I use mixed media pad that I already had. Some tape, a water bottle, and of course your ink that you're going to use. So what I went ahead and did was line up my photo. I went ahead and put it in the center of the paper because my printer wasn't able to print out the full image. So in order to have that shortcut, I went ahead and I printed it out. I'm just going to tape it right there so it stays lined up. Tape down this bottom. You know, I do have some extra tape left over, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut those points off. You know, so I can get everything working. And then from there, you know, you just go ahead and you start pretty much scratching into the plexiglass. So you're gonna go ahead and just start scratching it in. So with the plexiglass, what happens is everything that you scratch, that's where the ink's gonna fall. So you're gonna go ahead and scratch where you want the ink to show. So like I want all of this leaves to show. I want the fence, the lining of the fence to show, the lining of the actual little playground. Also, I wanted some details in the grass, so I went ahead and I just scratched, you know, I'm just gonna scratch a bit of that in there. Also, the little concrete tiles on the floor, I wanted to go ahead and put some details in that too, and the bucket. So I just went ahead and I just scratched in different ways. With the bucket, I went ahead and I scratched, you know, sideways. As to the plant leaves, I went ahead and I did it in a down formation, and just so on and so forth. Okay, so once you went ahead and scratched out everything you wanted to show up on your print, you're gonna get some of the supplies. This part might be a little bit messy, so you're gonna go ahead and use the ink, you know, that my teacher went ahead and provided for me. Also some of these gauze, I don't know the actual term for them. A water bottle, that's gonna come in handy right now when we do apply the picture. I like to use wipes because the wipes, since this is, you know, you're able to get it off with, you know, water and soap. I feel like the wipes is just a really good way of helping cleaning. So I do like to use a card to help me apply the ink onto the plexiglass to get into all those grooves. And it's just going to pretty much help me get a real nice clean, you know, print. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm using a plastic fork to help me spread on a little bit of ink onto the plexiglass. And I'm taking that card and I'm just going to spread it evenly throughout the image until I start seeing, you know, the image fully come through. Once I notice that all my grooves are pretty much filled in with the ink, I start slowly taking off all that extra ink. Every time I slide the card down a few times, I go ahead and get that wipey. I take off whatever's on the card, and I just continue the process until I can pretty much only see the cracks. So at this point, I'm pretty happy how my image is coming out. So I go ahead and start spraying down the paper. Make sure I get a nice clean coat on it. I use the back of my hand because obviously the front of my hand is pretty dirty. Just to, make sure there's no dry spots. Every, inch of that paper is going to be covered in that water, or at least where I'm going to be putting the image. So I go ahead and just carefully pick up that image and trust the process. So this part is pretty, important. I'm trying to put as much pressure as I can on the plexiglass so I can make sure the image is transferred, smoothly. There is air bubbles in between the plexiglass and the paper. So what I do is I just start going outwards, trying to get all those air bubbles out so there won't be any issues or anywhere the ink doesn't, transfer onto the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing that until I start seeing that there's no longer any air bubbles. And there we go.